Welcome, beautiful Paris Saint-Germain family. In today's video, we're gonna discussing the Champions League next season. I should have potentially maybe waited for more signings to be happening, but I just want to talk about my excitement for the Champions League next season. I've already made a video about it, more discussing the teams that are going to be in the Champions League, but now we're going to be discussing the teams slightly and then the narratives going into the season, starting off with Paris Saint-Germain. Paris Saint-Germain going into this Champions League, it's two stuff. First of all, revenging the embarrassment versus Chelsea in the Club World Cup final. And I think I'm mostly looking at us playing, strong opponents, beating them and getting our pride back. Second thing though, can PSG go back to back? Since the inception of the Champions League, when it went from the European Cup to the Champions League in 1992, only one club has been able to go back to back. And that is Real Madrid between 2015 and 2017. Only one club has done it. And, when PSG had such a great season, we started comparing it to other teams, not just me, everyone. I remember Jamie Carragher tweeting out, this is the closest team, 09 Barca in terms of domination and all of that. And I saw so many people get so insecure. Instead of, just appreciating the greatness, I saw City fans saying 22-23 is better, Bayern fans saying 2020 is better, when that's not even their best triple UCL team. It's 2013, but it's these casual plastic fans, bandwagon fans that don't have IQ. So, what can we do to differentiate ourselves from these winners? Well, do it back to back. If you do it back to back, that's what we're looking for. And I've always said, the main objective for this PSG is not 1, it's not 2, it's not 3, it's not 4, it's a dynasty. We're here to create a dynasty. UCL last season, Champions League semi-final. UCL this season, Champions League winner, Club World Cup in the final. What we're showing the football world is we're here to stay. We had Champions League final in 1920, semi-final after that. Then we had the dip when PSG joined the club. Now we're back. And as I said, we're here to stay. We have a young team that's only going to get better. We haven't made any signings yet, but we are going to strengthen the squad with the enormous amounts of money we have, and we will be the team to beat in the UCL next season. If I don't see us with the highest odds, well, then I know it's disgusting pig Zionists running these odds and everything. Even like the Opta analysts and the AI accounts. Just a bunch of Zionists running it. But yeah, that's going to be the narrative for Paris Saint-Germain. Can we do it back to back? And then obviously all the other teams will be trying to knock us out. Maybe we'll get a cheeky defeat in the UCL group stage. I mean, that's a norm for Luis Enrique's PSG. But hopefully that's behind us. Because please, I can't go through it again. Not 3 years in a row. First season, we lost to... we didn't lose to Dortmund. We lost to Newcastle 4-1. Still hurts. We lost to AC Milan away 2-1. Not the worst. Still. And then obviously drew to Dortmund, coming second in the group. Then we started cooking in the knockout stages. This last season, same thing. We had 5 games in. What was it, 4 points, 3 goals scored or something embarrassing like that? That can't happen again. But the main thing, obviously, for the other teams will not just to beat us, it will be to knock us out. That will be the huge thing they will be looking out for. And we have to defend this title, baby. We got to go for it. Especially with losing the Club World Cup final. I'm even hungrier than I was before. Next thing to look at, quickly, Bayern Munich. The issue with Bayern Munich is if I was a Bayern fan, I don't know how optimistic at the moment I would be going into the Champions League because of how disgustingly bad the transfer window has been. And obviously, Company, he's a project manager. Just like Arteta, Arsenal, so there's going to be pressure on him, and we don't know how well he's going to perform and everything. Musiala obviously out, but he will be back for the knockout stage of the Champions League. So if Bayern just fix up their transfer window, I'm looking at you, Herbal. If they just fix up the transfer window, Bayern could be cheeky. I mean, even last season, injury to Opa and everything. Well, they reached the Champions League quarterfinals. Lost by 1 goal to Inter, and Inter scored 2 corner kick goals in that second game. So Bayern could potentially feel confident and excited for the UCL next season as long as they make the needed transfers and their players perform. I'm looking at you, Harry Kane. When I'm watching a Bayern game and Bayern need a goal, and I see you 30 yards from the goal trying to play make, You're not him, Kane. Ulisse, he's young. That pressure is not going to be on him. Musiala, I mean, now he's injured, but he's young. That pressure is not going to be him. Coleman and Gnabry are washed. The pressure is on you sometimes to carry your team. I don't want to see you in the middle of the park trying to playmate. Behave. And I'm looking at you, Kimmich. You got to be better in big games, man. It's been absolutely embarrassing. I see the Sofa score stats, highest average rating in the season. But then when I look in the big games, I remember the game PSG Bayern. Like, where was Kimmich? Like, I saw such a boy more impactful than you in that game. What is this? And obviously, I said, Company, let's see what he can do in his second season. I've always been critical of him, knowing that it was not going to go that well in the first season. And I don't really like when clubs, pick a manager with absolutely zero experience. And no, I'm not counting getting relegated and promoted from the championship with Burnley as experience. Moving on, let's take a cheeky Premier League team. Let's take Manchester City. Manchester City this season, obviously, a lot of it has to do with the next Premier League season. Will they try to get their crown back? They won 4 times in a row. But we are here to talk about the Champions League. We don't care about that. Manchester City have been the, I believe, second best performing team in the UEFA Champions League for the past 4 or 5 seasons. Last season, though, they were really bad. They came like we finished like 16th in that Champions League group stage. They finished like 22nd, 21st, getting knocked out in the round of 32 in quite embarrassing fashion. Kylian Mbappe, who is absolutely washed in Big 2025, scored a hat-trick against them and actually looked good. The narrative started changing after that game that, Mbappe is back, and then went back to dropping generational stinkers versus Atletico Madrid and Arsenal. So City got to get their pride back. I'm talking, I want to say City, after, how last season went and how poor they were in the Club World Cup as well when they lost to Al Hilal. Not poor, Al Hilal had a great side. But obviously you expect more from City. I predicted them to reach the final when I saw the knockouts and everything. So City, they'll be looking to get their pride back. Beating some of the big teams. Erling Braut Haaland had a little bit of a dip season. He's looking to get his prowess back. It's going to be interesting how Pep Guardiola builds the City team now that De Bruyne has left and is washed. And he's brought in the Cherkis, the Rangers, all of these players. It's going to be very interesting to watch City next season and how they're potentially going to get their pride back. We'll take one more Premier League team, Chelsea FC. Still hurts. Yeah, this is the heart. Still hurts. All right? Apologize. Because we're coming for you. Obviously, Chelsea is the team I want to face next season alongside FC Barcelona. Chelsea mostly to get revenge. And actually just see how another game goes with their tactics against us and see how it goes. Barca obviously mostly because the fans, we need to shut them up as we've done for the last 3 times we face each other. 2 times. But yeah, Chelsea FC. Well, after finishing 4th in the Premier League, as I've mentioned this before many times, I was in a Football Terrors, a YouTube channel. I predicted Chelsea to win the Premier League in the beginning of the season, and they unfortunately made me look like a bit of a clown. But yeah, Chelsea, I think, after winning the Club World Cup, making signings like Gittins, Joao Pedro, some other signings as well, they will be looking like a strong contender. If you can win the Club World Cup and beat Paris Saint-Germain in the fashion they beat, I believe the confidence in the club, the confidence in the manager, the confidence in the players will be extremely high. They, as City, will also be focusing obviously on the Premier League. But I think Champions League is something they can look at, and at least a quarterfinal, first time back in the Champions League for like 3-4 seasons as well. So it's going to be very interesting seeing players like Cole Palmer. I haven't seen him in the UCL ever. Caicedo was very good in that game as well versus PSG, and just seeing how Chelsea perform in the Champions League. Very young, unexperienced team. Club World Cup was a new thing, so UCL is a different thing. So we'll see how Chelsea performs there. It's going to be very interesting. Going to La Liga. Let's start with Atletico Madrid. Atletico Madrid, last season, obviously, knocked out on penalties because Alvarez he accidentally hit his other leg. But Atletico Madrid, they're always like the dark horse of the UCL, mostly because of their playing style, but also because they are a very experienced UCL team with an extremely experienced Champions League manager. I mean, looking at all the managers in the UCL this season, Luis Enrique, Pep Guardiola. They're probably the only two managers more experienced than Diego Simeone in this competition. So he will be another tough team to beat. They're making some good signings. I think they've already spent like 200 million on like Almada, Baena, and some other signings. Alvarez was obviously really great for them last season. Adding in these technical attackers next to him, and Atletico Madrid could once again be a very, very dangerous side to face next season. And you know, they battled it a bit last season, UCL, Copa del Rey, and the La Liga, pretty much all in the span of a month. So they will have they have a lot of hunger going into next season. Obviously, the World Cup will obviously be played after the Champions League as well. So a lot of players will want to be great going into that World Cup. After that, Real Madrid. Huge season for Real Madrid. Winning the UCL 2 times in 3 seasons, and then getting embarrassed by Arsenal FC. You know, I was disgusted losing an irrelevant game in the Champions League group stage to Arsenal. Can't imagine how Madrid fans felt after Declan Rice double free kick. Even I was shocked. And I'm not usually that shocked by football, but that was shockingly disgusting. So Real Madrid, they gotta pull their pants up after being spanked and spanked and spanked. As I mentioned before, 4 out of their biggest defeats in their history came last season. Getting spanked by Barca, spanked by PSG and Arsenal. So Madrid, this is the season to bounce back. They still have a major summer transfer to do. Maybe they sell Vinny, maybe they sell Rodrigo. Build a team around Kylian, Dictator, Mbappe. So Madrid will be a very interesting team to follow next season. Obviously, Xabi Alonso is the manager, playing a different formation. Already a bunch of new signings: Franco, Carreras, Trent, Huijsen, mostly defenders. It's going to be very interesting how they will look. So Madrid, obviously, a team to be excited for the UCL next season. And I mean, they'll be aiming, you know, usually they always get at least a semi. So I think that's what they should be looking for. I don't think at the moment they're strong enough. Obviously, they could win a Champions League. We've seen more unlikely win the Champions League, but I think that should be the objective, especially with Xabi Alonso and everything. And they still haven't realized how washed Mbappe is. And who knows, maybe Mbappe actually starts working, stops being lazy, stops blaming everyone, starts, I don't know, just doing his job as he's supposed to do. Before we take the twin of Real Madrid, let's finish off the Premier League. Liverpool is the only team left, and I don't care about Serie A. Inter Milan, I mean, if I was Inter Milan, I would not want to play Champions League ever again, or at least take a postponement of like 3 seasons after that complete embarrassment. Going to Liverpool. Liverpool obviously won the Premier League last season. Faced Paris Saint-Germain in the round of 16. Got knocked out on penalties at Anfield. Must have hurt a lot. The majority, basically all those players are still left there, including the big players like Mohamed Salah, Virgil van Dijk, Alisson, Arne Slot is there. They've had a lot of great signings so far. Wirtz, Frimpong, Kirkes, and now getting Ekitike through the door. Liverpool, even though they got knocked out in the round of 16, they will be looking at the UCL next season. We gotta win. We won the Premier League. We showed how great we were against Paris Saint-Germain. Let's actually win this competition. Liverpool will be one of my strong contenders going into the UCL next season because of they're very good. They're very good. They're very good. A player like Salah, he should look himself in the mirror and say, stamp padding versus Fulham and Southampton is nice, but you gotta be doing it in the big UCL games. I remember in one video I compared his all Champions League goals versus Neymar, especially in the knockout stages. Neymar was like PSG, I don't think he scored against Madrid, Bayern, a lot of big teams. Salah is like Villarreal, and you gotta pull up. You gotta pull up for Liverpool because you will be pulling up. Do not put the expectation on Ekitike, Luis Diaz. Wirtz, you could put that expectation, especially signing him for 150 million. But he's more of an all-round player, whilst Salah is more of a GA merchant. So I'm looking at him, but Liverpool will be very tough to beat next season. And lastly but not least, FC Barcelona, probably alongside PSG when it comes to the most narratives going into the UCL this season. They did basically everything last season. winning the Copa del Rey, Supercopa de España, La Liga, spanking up their rivals Madrid. But obviously, unfortunately for them, going out. No, actually, fortunately, so they wouldn't have to play us. But they got knocked out versus Inter in the semi-final. Their season a bit reminds me of Paris Saint-Germain in the previous season. We won everything domestically and got knocked out versus Dortmund in the Champions League semi-final. Will this be Barca's year? They nearly did everything last season. They will go into this UCL season believing in themselves. You know, Lamine Yamal, he will have probably a great season trying to take this Barca team to glory. I've already seen him talk once again, as usual. We're going to get the UCL back to Barca. The issue I have with these talkers is they just talk so much. They just talk so much. You know, Vinicius Jr., you know that tweet he had 10 times better? That's become like one of the most famous and viral tweets of all time in the football Twitter community. I just wish Yamal was tweeting, because then we could cook him even harder. Because he just says the same thing. I think he said we're going to win the UCL 3 seasons in a row. Like, it's just embarrassing, man. Just walk the talk, man. Stop embarrassing yourself, man. Such an unlikable player, man. He just annoys me, man. Just annoys me. This new generation, spearheaded by him, is just filthy and disgusting, man. But yeah, he's obviously going to have a great season trying to get Barca into it. And as I mentioned before, the World Cup is going to be after it. So if we're going to talk like Ballon d'Or and so on, we know the World Cup is going to weigh more than the Champions League. But I guess it depends on who wins it. Like, if any other player had the year that Messi had in the World Cup, Haaland, I think, would still win the Ballon d'Or. But Messi, PR, Not saying Messi didn't deserve it. Just feel like because it was Messi, it meant more. Lost World. I mean, everyone thought it was the last World Cup and so on. But Yamal, Rafinha, can he have a magical season that like he had last season? I think his numbers will drop down a bit, but he will still be very good. Leva, he's my biggest question mark. I think he will potentially drop off a lot. Only made Juan Garcia's signing. He's a great keeper, but I didn't feel like Szczesny was that big of a weakness for Barca. Quite the opposite. He was big in some UCL games, like away at Benfica when Kubarsi got that red card. Big season for Kubarsi as well, and Hansi Flick as well. We saw his time at Bayern, started off peakly, then it went down. Let's see how it goes for Hansi Flick in this season. But Barca obviously will be looking to try to win the Champions League this season. So, to finish it off, my strong contenders at the moment gotta be Paris Saint-Germain, FC Barcelona, and Liverpool. Basically, just like last season, these are the 3 strong teams. They don't have that many weaknesses. They're going to strengthen a little bit more so far in the transfer window. Bayern got to strengthen. Madrid got to strengthen and sell. Sell the Vinny, sell maybe the Rodrigo, build a team around Mbappe. Even though he was sharing the big games, you just have to do it. That's unfortunate with Mbappe. You just got to sell your soul. And inshallah Mbappe gets it. City, I don't know. I thought City were going to be stronger this season, but after they got knocked out in the Club World Cup, I don't know. I have still some doubts about them. Rodri, he looks a bit washed now after the ACL. Chelsea, they could be a cheeky dark horse. I still don't know where to put Chelsea quality-wise. So it's like a group. PSG, Barca, Liverpool in one. Then after that is like Madrid, City, Chelsea. I don't know about Bayern, man. Bayern just this transfer window, they just been behaving like clowns. So I don't really know where to put them. But I guess I'll put them with the other brackets. So these are the number A and then the number B. Let me know in the comments down below who will win the Champions League in the 2025-2026 season. That's been it from boy PSGINT. Hopefully guys have enjoyed this video. And as usual, allez, bye.